are live. Hold on. Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another Sonetta TV. House of Consciousness production, Black News 102. As you can see before you, we got the man of the hour sitting right here, Brother Sankofa, and brother, powerful shirt. Yeah, being at the man's, hey, powerful shirt, brother.
Really though.
Let the people see that.
Check it out. Yes, sir.
You bringing in
Dr.
that
Khalid
energy.
Abdul Muhammad, you know?
Turn around
right there. You see that?
Yeah, you already know. Oh, bad. That's bad. Yeah, that's bad. I got you.
See that? Yeah, Khalid Muhammad, baby. One of the greatest. Prophet Khalid Abdul Muhammad.
You got the Malcolm glasses on? What's going on, man?
Well, you know, we're gonna go into some real good information today.
All right. One thing you missing, man. Let me see if I can.
Come on, man. Don't dress me up. Don't
hold on, man. Hold on for 1 minute. Let me see something.
See the stuff I gotta go through, people.
Uh-oh. Yeah, let me see. Oh man, that's it. That's the look there, bro.
You know what I mean? A little bit, you know?
Yeah, your head too big for that. Though. Pause, y'all. No,
yeah,
y'all like to do with stupid shit.
Super pause.
Right. So, yo, family, anyway, man, we here at the House of Consciousness, Black News 102, Sonetta TV, Sonetta Studios, and I'm here with my brother, my spokesman for the House of Consciousness, Brother Sankofa. Let the people know what we're going to be dealing with, brother, and where does your information come from? Talk to the people.
Well, because I don't live in a box, my information as a student of knowledge, as a student of life, comes from a variety of sources. I do believe that over the years of studying, you learn through trial and error. I've been through in the dogmatic ciphers, if you want to call it that. I've been into the socio-political economic studies. History was always my favorite study topic in school. Even before any of the consciousness, I was always attracted to history. I wanted to know why things happen, who were responsible for it, how it affects us today, and most importantly, how can we can recreate history. So, you know, as I just matured as a person that still has a quest for knowledge, you know, a lot of my information doesn't come from a source. Some people that live in dogmatic boxes or certain other philosophical boxes tend to have a certain type of books that they only deal with because it supports their philosophical school of thought, their ideological and theological schools of thought. So me, what I try to do is get a little information that deals with the tapestry of many perspectives and ideas that I talk about. But I try to definitely study the information. I research the researcher, go over the bibliographies, and I really study the footnotes. And that's how, you know, this takes time and experience as well. I mean, you can't just learn how to study and just read this book. This is actual fact. Sometimes you might come across some pseudo. You might have to step it up as you get more information and get more astute and get more seasoned as a studier and develop your methodology on what to study, how to study, and why. And not only that, how to apply it. But going back to the shirt, before I go into today's topic, family, got a special treat to you for the viewers out there today. And I want to first and foremost thank the viewership for tuning in. This platform is only relevant. This platform only means something because it means something to the people. Okay, so you tuning in to this platform is what makes us relevant. So I want to thank you first and foremost, even the haters out there, all right? So I wanted to address the shirt. We're still in January, right, Sonetta?
That's right.
Khalid Abdul Muhammad's birthday just passed. Okay, it was January 12th. So I want to say happy belated birthday to the Black Power General, the history hitman, the truth terrorist, the one that didn't come to pin the tail on the donkey, but came to pin the tail on the honky, the prophet, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Much respect and love. Ashe, I symbolically pour out water and libation to your spirit and hope that that energy is raised up in me today. Okay? And hope that that energy, a portion of it at least, is raised up in your brother Sankofa today. All right? Another thing about Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, which is very interesting and pertinent information that it's just good to know. You know what I mean? Doesn't attach to nothing. It's not, you know, but the fact that we have Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad was the chairman of the new Black Panther Party. The chairman of the new Black Panther Party, okay? We know it started by Aaron Michaels in 1989, but Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad took over the chairmanship, okay, at a certain point. He was the chairman. The Minister of Defense originally, and then became the chairman after the Panther split up and all that. Huey P. Newton, okay? Huey P. Newton, the chairman of the original Panther Party. Why am I mentioning this? There's a little correlation coming up into what we so-called the Black History Month, okay? We have Huey P. Newton, who died, who was born, right, Senator? February 17th. Huey P. Newton, okay, part of the original Panther Party, born February 17th. Then you had the same day that his death date was the same date, okay, that Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad made his transition, February 17th. You have the old Panther Party, you have the new. What is the point? There's no point in specifically. It's just interesting information that I like to share with people. I call it black facts, FYIs, just things to know that stimulate, provoke thought, that are interesting, and is educational and entertaining. Let's call it edutainment. Okay? That's all. All right. Well, today's topic.
Before you get started, because I know you don't like nobody cutting you off. I just want to say, shout out to Dr. Yaya before you get started. Beautiful queen. She's blessed the platform. PhD scholar. And definitely a shout out to my goddamn lawyer. Shout out to my lawyer. Shaving bullets in the building. You already know what it is, man. So go ahead, my brother. I ain't gonna interrupt you no more. I know you don't like that, but go and get it in.
All right. And thank you very much for giving me the time, the platform, and the opportunity. I say that humbly as I come before the people, okay? And as I sit once again on the most popular, the most famous couch in contemporary Black history, right here on Black News 102 on Sarnetta TV. What we're going to be talking about today's people is basically the topic of Black Messiahs and Uncle Toms. Today's topic is about Black Messiahs, or a critical analysis of Black Messiahs and Uncle Toms. We may see them, when you look at the terms themselves, as a dichotomy, two different ends of the pendulum. They're diametrically in opposition or contrast to one another. But I want to go into a little historicity, because we use these terms. The term Uncle Tom, which is usually known to most as a derogatory epithet that is used to describe a person who is overly subservient to another race and another class of people, and he does this willfully. Okay, so what we want to do is go into a little history of Uncle Tom. What is Uncle Tom? Why the term Uncle Tom? Why do we relate that to people that show some of these characteristics, or what will be perceived as some of these characteristics? Okay, it goes into a lot of historicity after Reconstruction era, the turn of the century, from the 1900s and to the from the 1800s into the 1900s. And then we also have the Messiah concept. The Messiah concept. There's always, well, not always, but for a long time before slavery, before Reconstruction, before the turn of the century, from the 18th to the 19th centuries, there's always been the concept of messianic type people. But we noticed at that time, at the turn of millennium, many groups or movements, what would be considered or termed as cults, started to rise up, literature, concepts and ideas, different books that are considered to be wholly inspired by a higher force or a God, came about at that time. And we want to see how these concepts and ideas, okay, and these characteristics that some of them apply to our people, the Black Messiah, claiming to be the outspoken, charismatic leader, the person with the message of liberation and the path to salvation and freedom, okay, for Black people, and how the Uncle Tom, person that is in diametric opposition to true liberation because they have been so psychologically duped, oppressed, and conditioned that they believe that there is no hope. And in fact, any knowledge, any resources, any wealth that they get as this Black person with the Uncle Tom characteristic, they would not use anything in their power, to empower the collective, but only use everything in their acquired and limited power to keep us oppressed along with the oppressor. We want to see where the synergy between these two things, how they meet at a certain juncture as it pertains to the liberation of Black people, and how some of the characteristics that we consider to be Black messiahs are sometimes directly and many times indirectly really Uncle Tom concepts. And how the original story of the person who played Uncle Tom, a brother by the name of Josiah Henson, a little bit of historicity of who he was and how these different type of characteristics, okay, as it plays into Black leaderships, politics, and religion, how there's a synergy, how they meet at a certain junction, and how they're very similar to each other, even though they're perceived by term as totally different things. Okay, so that is a little introduction into what we're going to be going into, and hopefully you'll leave this this meeting of the minds, this segment of Sarnetta TV with Brother Sankofa a little bit more informed, okay, and asking some questions about some other things and digging into some other areas than you did prior to coming into here, okay? So what we want to do is go into a little bit of historicity of the Uncle Tom. What is the Uncle Tom? You know what I mean? You know, you see a person that is a sellout, a person that just what we consider a coon, which can not just celebrities as it pertains to our people, not just politicians, not just people in the theologian realm, but a lot of people in a lot of different from a lot of different segments of life and different walks of life and different categories in society that make up our people have been termed this. Okay, a little bit of history first about what Uncle Tom was. Uncle Tom was a play. Uncle Tom was a play that was written in 1950, or at least finished in 1952. And it was written by a white woman by the name of Harriet Beecher Stowe. Harriet Beecher Stowe. Okay, a little bit of history about who Harriet Beecher Stowe was, because one thing about when you study, you won't want to just read and study. You also want to study the person, a little bit about the person who wrote that which you're studying. Okay, who was Harriet Beecher Stowe? She was a Connecticut-born teacher at the Harvard School, Female School Seminary. Okay, she was an active abolitionist, rather. Okay, she was an active abolitionist. The featured character, Uncle Tom, is about a long-suffering Black slave around whom the stories and all others and the characters in the play revolve around. The sentimental novel, okay, depicts the reality of slavery while also asserting that Christian love can overcome something as destructive and as horrific and enslaving as Christianity. So that's what the play was supposed to depict. And if you look at the characteristics in the play of the person Uncle Tom, this is something that you want to go into, because I'm only using the concept and idea of Uncle Tom. It's not about the play itself, so I would just use and highlight certain characteristics in the story to convey my point. But if you look at the characteristics in the story, he was a devout Christian, okay? He was an entrusted slave, so therefore different in slavery, there was tiers. Every slave didn't have the same, even though they were all oppressed, okay, just like in society today. Some had more room to move around and certain more privilege and accessibility to things than others. Since Uncle Tom, okay, was entrusted, okay, to travel, to go to other plantations, to deliver parcels, to receive parcels or mail or other items to other slaves and other slave masters and other plantations, he was known as a trustee. He was an entrusted one, okay? There also had to be the eyes and ears of the slave master amongst other slaves in the field too, just in case. So this is giving you a psychological scenario of the concept of Uncle Tom. Okay, there was a time when he felt resentment. Uncle Tom would get mad sometime when you look at the play. All right, I've read the play, I've seen the play, read the book. You know what I'm saying? Different versions of it over the years. I mean, very powerful thing, man. It goes to show you how these crackers, a lot of them at the turn of the century, got a lot of concepts and ideas that they do about us, how that is so embedded into their psyche. This play is deep. Okay, but as a devout Christian, as an angry man, when he would get angry, what would calm him? What would make him reconcile his sentiments? What would make him think twice about fighting for his liberation and going against the opposition of his slave master or his slave mistress who was in power over him would be the Jesus concept. Religion would always factor into and eclipse his desire for liberation, his look for salvation to come. Even though, you know what I'm saying, that was something in the sky after you died, he didn't want to pursue that or mess up his petty attempt for liberation now to mess up his potential hope in the promised land and the kingdom of heaven. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? In a lot of ways that it does. A lot of people, you get the gist of this. Okay? There was a time when he was about, according to the play, where he was about to go and slaughter his slave masters when they were in the room sleeping. They were in their bedroom sound asleep. He's a trustee. He could have pulled it off. They wouldn't have seen it coming. He could have used the art of war stratagem at that point. Okay? But what was in his collective subconscious, like what is in many of ours, okay, even if we don't call ourselves Uncle Toms, even if we call ourselves Black Messiahs, the religious dynamic, that component that is in your mind, that there is something greater later, and that you don't want to disrupt that with your pursuits of freedom now and violate the decree of your slave master, okay? And how you are in check, you don't want to go against the grain. A lot of people would think twice that whole divine aftermath or judgment would come in their mind. It happened to him. Because you understand, Uncle Tom wasn't just an Uncle Tom as a political figure or a sports figure, okay? He was in slavery. This is antebellum period. You know what I'm saying? It was based on that. You know what I mean? Even though it was written in the late 1800s, a little bit after the Emancipation Proclamation, the characteristics and the characters that it were based on a tapestry of many other characteristics of certain kind of what you would call house niggas, okay, or trustee slaves, thus Uncle Tom's on the plantation. He didn't want to slaughter the slave masters because he thought about Jesus in his mind. He had the weapons in his hand. He was about to go in a room in a story in a play, and I'm going somewhere with the point, but he didn't want to pull that off, Sarnetta. He didn't want to pull that off because just when he was about to do it, when he thought about freedom, at that point, oh, forget this freedom. I don't want to mess up my freedom in the hereafter. And then I don't want, you know, to be looking bad to other slaves because I done killed my master off. I got to do it better than that. There has to be a different way out. So he would always acquiesce to the psychological colonialization, okay, and indoctrination of Christianity. What is the point? A lot of us are still like that today, even though that is not the whole true story of the person in which it was based on, because this story, even though it was a tapestry taken of a lot of different slaves and different concepts and ideas of slaves at that point, it was a specific at that time, that person, a slave, that Harriet Beecher Stowe based her mythological story on, okay? And
now, you know, Uncle Tom was the man that couldn't be broken.
Yeah.
He was considered the man that couldn't be broken by the white man. See, but what happened is they twisted the story. They made Uncle Tom because they wanted black people. They wanted somebody to so the white man would say, oh, he's an Uncle Tom. And what he's saying is to signify that he's a buck dancer. He's a bootlicker. But in all actuality, Uncle Tom was the one that couldn't be broken. I want y'all to know that and do research on that. Don't be quick to condemn it. Okay, just do research on it.
And that's why I want to put it in perspective, because Uncle Tom wasn't just that character. Okay. The character that Uncle Tom was based on, the truth about who he was that character. The Uncle Tom character that they extracted the story from, and a lot of it based on Jeremiah Henson. Look up Jeremiah Henson. This is what you want to do, because what he's saying is true. Uncle Tom was based on him. So Uncle Tom, the character that was the benevolent, subservient, loyal, very Christian, willful slave, okay, that got angry at time, that wanted to react, okay, but he wouldn't, because the ideals of Christianity, okay, would always supersede or eclipse his desire for freedom or a revolt, okay. And what Josiah Ford did, he got free, Sarnetta. Josiah Ford, sorry, because the brother of Josiah Ford, the original Hebrew Israelite, I always get the names twisted when I say Josiah.
Right, okay.
Josiah Henson. With Josiah Henson, what he did was he got his freedom. He got free. He dipped all the way up to Canada, right, bro?
Yeah.
He got it to Canada. He also became an officer for the Underground Railroad for Harriet Tubman's. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was basically a main person who was helping people get at the Underground Railroad. When they would come up through different parts of the Underground Railroad, because, you know, there were different places. These were drop-off spots where they would go to. He was in charge of one of those places where they would go to, which would be up in Canada. Okay? So, like, he did have some things revolutionary about his character, whereas he wasn't written specifically like, his story wasn't exactly the story that characteristics of him and others were based off of, that the Uncle Tom story is basically depicting in the play. But Josiah Henson is who the story is based on. But we don't want to make the mistake of saying Josiah Henson and Uncle Tom was the exact same person, because there was a reason why the story based on him was written and the archetype was written a certain kind of way. You know what I mean? Also, what was taking place at that time, going into the other end of that pendulum, as far as a perspective is concerned, we're talking about the Black Messiah. Okay, the Messiah complex. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our people do have that. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of different types of nationalists. A lot of us like to say nationalists. You have proto-nationalists. You have Black nationalists. You also have religious nationalists. And because a lot of our people are entwined with or tied in with religion more so than with politics or any other people activity, I would say, especially right here in America, you have a lot of us in our desires for liberation, or our perception of how liberation is ultimately going to come into fruition, is through some kind of messianic intervention on behalf of us in our pursuit for salvation or liberation. That is right. That's why you have so many Black movements and organizations that have sprung up in America in the turn of the centuries, from the 1900s into the from the 1800s into the 1900s. You had, along with that, you had the Anglo-Israeli movement, which inspired movements such as the millennial movement, the millenniumism. Have you ever heard of that, Sarnetta?
No.
Millenniumism. I'm gonna read to the people what millenniumism is, and it all ties in. Okay. So for those who are attention span impaired, you know what I'm saying, you might want to take a breather and just watch this after the fact, that you can just fast forward to points that you find pertinent to yourself. Those who are interested in learning, okay, listen and learn. All right, and let's build. All right, millennialism, okay, from millennium. It's a Latin word for 1,000 years. And Greek is a belief held by some Christian denominations that there will be a golden age or paradise on earth in which Christ will reign for 1,000 years. Read this in the book of Revelations and some, okay, prior to the final judgment and future eternal state, the world to come, or the new heavens and earth, New Jerusalem. Okay, this belief is derived primarily from Revelation chapter 20, verse 1 through 6. Okay, millennialism is a specific form of millennialism. Similarities to millennialism are found in Zoroastrianism. It is held that there is a successive of 1,000-year periods in which each end will end in a cataclysmic type of destruction, until the final destruction of evil and the spirit of evil by a triumphant king of peace at the end of the final millennial age, supposed to be in the year 2000, because this is what they would teach, that this would take place and the resurrection and the future existence will occur. Okay, now what does this have to do with the Black Messiah? We're talking about our people. Yes, a lot of Caucasians developed these ideas, Uncle Tom, we use that. And we also have the concept of the Black Messiah. How many people who have came in the name of being inspired by a higher power, a higher intelligence, with a message of liberation, have come to Black people with a message of liberation, a set of rules, okay, and a set of formalities, social restrictions, and standards upon which to follow in order to be recipients of this kingdom of heaven, which was to come at the turn of the millennium. Many leaders have done that. Yeah, nowadays we're on YouTube, so we hear about the more contemporary, we talk at least more so about the more contemporary ones. But since the turn of the century, millennialism, okay, has been something that we have adopted, just like the term Uncle Tom, just like the concept and idea of Uncle Tom, which to great extent, you do see certain characteristics play out and with different people and different specific areas and walks of life as it pertains to our people in America, okay? Same thing, and I'm gonna show you, like I said, the whole point is to bring together the junction of where these two things connect as far as being a stagnation for true Black liberation, or even a real perception of what liberation is, ought to be, how to even embark on obtaining it, okay? These things have clouded our perceptives of ourselves, the world in general, and a lot of times what true liberation is. Okay, because a lot of us have been duped into believing that some kind of supernatural type of occurrence is going to happen, and that a lot of times has made us lazy as far as it pertains to, or even a coward, a lazy coward as far as it pertains to us really stepping it up and organizing and planning long term, okay, for our true liberation. Okay, we want something a pie in the sky after we die. And we have to understand how Anglo-Israelism, millennialism, the Jeremiads was a concept and idea basically that dealt with, Black people, or just people in general who had a preaching of a last day type of dogma. It was always a doomsday type thing, the last day. And it also dealt with the redemption and the reform of a people who were oppressed. Okay, like Jeremiah, Lamentations, and so those that the Jeremiads or the Jeremian type of theological ideology that were perpetuated in these days during the time of Black people's so-called liberation after the Emancipation Proclamation from chattel slavery, at least. Okay, you had a lot of these organizations, groups, and movements were on the rise, and we just want to tap into a little bit of that which inspired these movements and how they trickled down into the organizations that still exist today, which is still the dichotomy between the Black Messiah and the Uncle Tom, and how they're still, to a great extent, in the way of collective liberation, and even the perception of what true liberation really is. Okay, so let's go. Now, I mentioned that they talked about the millennialism for a reason. This wasn't something prevalent that was taught amongst our people before this, before the indoctrinations. We have the holy what is it called? Oh man, the Holy Pentecostal movement. Look this up, people. This is pertinent information that you can look up and connect the dots for yourself. Don't listen to Brother Sankofa. And as a disclaimer, because I'm not here to tear down and disrespect nobody's doctrine. I will not be talking about anybody's specific doctrine, but if I do happen to mention a doctrine or organization by name, it is for educational purposes, okay? And it is to make a point, okay? And my critique is also subject to critique. I gladly accept that. So I don't want nobody to get their panties in a bunch and think that it's a specific attack on anybody, but I'm going at concepts. I'm going at ideas, okay? I am basically critiquing and going at certain concepts that created a lot of the concepts that we have conceptualized on a collective level. That is the whole point of this. So, you know, when you have organizations that started to rise up, a lot of people like say that the Hebrew Israelite movements, that they existed since slavery, and they, you know, they were Hebrews. There were people that knew they were Hebrews and that they passed that on. I'm not going to sit there and argue that, because the point of the topic, there's a lot of discrepancies I have with that, and it goes in a lot more deeper than just as simplistic as that, because we want to know, where did they get this from? If everybody else was cut off from everything, where did they get that specific thing from? Did everybody call themselves that? Were they just a group in specific areas that said that? Who did the recording of that? Who maintained that? who kept it going, and then was there any distortion to that, if any? If there were anything that was false in it, what was it, and what ought we ought to take off the table, and what we ought to dissect and reevaluate, if any? A lot of them don't go into that. They were people that knew they were Hebrews. But when you're dealing with history, and you look at history, and you understand how people are, and how people network socially, and you look at that as a science, it brings up the necessity for a lot of constructive critique, not to down nothing, but constructive critique, so we can derive at a certain conclusion, okay, for the best interest of us being informed and edified, okay? So a lot of them were calling themselves that. Who inspired that? When they started movements calling ourselves Hebrews, up from generations of slavery, some people didn't even know what year they were born. They didn't have birth records. Some people didn't even know what their granddaddy's name was, let alone what tribe they was from.
Hold on, say that again.
Some people didn't even know who their granddaddy was, let alone what their ancestral lineage was connected to another continent, being that was whipped, raped, re-indoctrinated, and instituted out of them. We want to know and put together, try to, put the pieces together. Like when you go to a crime scene, you know what I'm saying? You have to look for certain clues. When you watch CSI, one of my favorite shows, I like shows that make you intrigued and trigger thought. You know what I mean? Where it takes a lot more critical knowledge to derive to a conclusion than just surface-based things that sound good. That is good enough. Wrap it up. I'll take it. Let's go. Nah. We like to look into things and go into layers, and it's important. Okay, it's not the most important thing. It's not that which is going to liberate us, but as I always say, destiny will balance itself out. Let's get educated in the meantime. Let's have good and pertinent, powerful discussions in the meantime. Okay, so when you look at the concept of Anglo-Israelism, not to say every Israelite group came from that, but the influence of a lot of the black messianic concepts and the millennial type of perspectives that we started to develop that came around the time when certain white so-called prophets or inspired or enlightened people brought this, and our people were just up from slavery as a people, okay, that have been indoctrinated with religious concepts and beliefs for centuries, okay? The most familiar thing with us was an idea of a religious concept and ideas. We read about Moses. You were familiar with that in the Bible. So, of course, that would kind of be, you would connect that with your struggle and say, hey, we're in captivity right here. The same way Moses' plight was, Pharaoh, let my people go. We dare to take the strong and bold stance and say, Pharaoh, modern day Pharaoh, so to speak, let my people go. That was the stance, so to speak. Not all of them called it that. Not all of them used the vernacular that I'm using, termed it that way. But looking in retrospect, looking back, that is basically the perception that they had. You know what I'm saying? Of certain groups and fragmented groups who took on the concepts and ideas that we are specific chosen people of God, and that our liberation is going to take place this way specifically, and it's going to take place exactly at this point, the year 2000. You had people like F.S. Cherry, okay, because you had William Crowdy, who was out of the Pentecostal church, because this is where the first Hebrew Israelite movements were born out of, the Pentecostal church. That's right. Didn't nobody come out of the Mississippi River, okay, baptizing you into Hebrew Israelitism. That's not how you got that. Didn't nobody, and if they are, who are they, was inspired by God, and he was the man of that hour, raised up with an inspiration of from the divine. And if I'm wrong, stand me corrected. Let me know who that was, and give us a little understanding of where that took place. You know what I'm saying? We may have just missed that at some point in history. You know what I mean? However, where did we get these concepts and ideas that we put on as absolutely divine? You know what I'm saying? It's the absolute, for those that it pertains to, is absolutely the end-all, be-all blueprint for our collective salvation and liberation as a people. Where did this come from? Like I said, you want to look into millennialism, Anglo-Israelism, the Jeremiah periods. You want to look at how these things formed and formulated and evolved into certain groups that became movements, that became institutions, that became religious dogmas, that evolved into other things. and into other sects and to the other groups that we now have in a multiplicity right now, okay, even though they don't call themselves part of the conscious community, that we have in the community at large, that are trying to raise the people's consciousness up from one estate of being low to a state of being enlightened, okay? And I give them credit for what they know, for dealing with using what they do know to try to, in good spirit, to try to go out and liberate the minds of the people. So I don't take credit away from people for that. But what we also want to look at is putting things into perspective. What we need to take off the table, and that which we are keeping on the table, how we need to re-evaluate and dissect some things and maybe look at it from a different perspective and see if there's something that we can use. Is it dead weight? Do we need to trim some of that fat nowadays? We leave it up for the people to decide. We're just bringing the information here on this platform. Okay, so the whole Black Messiah concept is not something that originated with us. You know what I'm saying? The Messiah complex, that there is something supernatural at a point in history that is going to come liberate us. And proof of that is many other Black groups and organizations that have come, that branched off from the original groups that started up from that, from F.S. Cherry, from William Crowdy and other Israelite groups. Some Israelite groups only strictly dealt with Torah and dealt with the concept of ideas, and they were inspired by Judaism. Didn't nobody holy, didn't nobody inspire them from their own land. They didn't go to Jerusalem and get the gems themselves. Nope, they was inspired by Judaism. That's why even Rabbi Matthews tried to get his rabbi status and was denied by the New York Rabbi Bar Association. I don't know how many times before he ended up getting it. So this wasn't inspired by God. A lot of these things were given to us and inspired by and developed in the institutions of people that were not us. And these are dogmas that we hold near and dear today. And even though we have nationalized it, we want to look at the Uncle Tom similarity dynamic with some of these concepts, along with the messianism, and how at some point there's almost a fine line between the two as far as its commitment to dogma opposed to their commitment to true liberation and how to obtain that, free of the dogma that was used to not ever give us, to not ever allow us to break shackle and free from the minds to want to become liberated as a people, okay? A lot of us are still in a mental chain of spiritual enslavement, even under our religious nationalism, because of the concept and ideas of something supernatural coming to liberate us. Some people teach that there's something that's going to come out the sky and it's going to liberate us. Reason why I don't have to believe that, and I refuse to, and there's no disrespect to the brothers who do believe that, the sisters definitely who do believe in that, is because even though I respect you, because I love us as a people, and I respect you, but the truth is a respecter of no person. So even though I respect you, okay, that doesn't mean the concepts and ideas that a lot of us have, are above any kind of critique by any means, okay? And if you have the absolute truth and salvation is yours by bar none, by any shadow of the doubt, there's no way the little menial things that I'm saying should have any kind of impact on you and make you respond or feel a certain way, by no means, because you got the truth anyway. So what I'm saying should be irrelevant. What you're saying. Okay, so like I was saying, you have over.
Turn it up, baby, turn it up. Shout out to my brother Six Dynasty in the building. Got to shout out to my brother Six Dynasty.
All right, now
doing great work, brother.
Great work, great work. Shout out to everybody out there studying, that's not playing, that's trying to get this liberation on and popping to the next level. All right. So now, and the reason why I have the right not to believe in these concepts and ideas is because they've been proven not to work. They've been proven not to work. Now have been proven to work. The concept of millennialism and a Messiah coming to liberate us. Look at all the black people. Look at all the groups and the movements that came before the contemporary ones that have failed. We've had the Father Divines. All right? You remember him right here in Harlem? We've had the Yahweh ben Yahwehs. Yahweh ben Yahweh taught the Hebrew Israelite doctrine and the way. Very prolific, very passionate, very strong. Not only that, he had an economic program. He had schools right down there in Dade County, Florida, and Overtown, Florida by Miami. Had schools, had busing companies, had hotels. He dealt with logistics, had trucks and companies, his own business, and he also had a Messiah concept. But see, the thing what he did was, okay, he's the same concept and idea. Instead of teaching people how to be leaders, teaching them leadership, he taught them to worship the leader, the Messiah. So see, therefore, what happens again is the same thing we see all the time play out in history is when the Messiah falls, all right, or when the head falls, the body dies with it. So here it is when Hulon Mitchell, aka, okay, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, who had the ultimate truth, had a big movement, and not only had a movement, but had an economic plan, had books, had information going out in circulation, a propaganda mechanism in heavy circulation. He had all the things that were good for a blueprint of building a nation. But what was one of the main things that messed it up? He didn't believe in uniformity. He didn't believe in unity without uniformity. It was about my group is the way, my message is the definite article, THE, meaning absolute, the truth, okay? And I am the way. And what happened to the people who believed in that? When he fell, we fell. I said, when he fell, or really we fell. It happened many a times. Much respect, big up to Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who I see as one of the greatest black men, but one of the greatest messengers ever to impact black men right here in the hells of North America. And he's one of the greatest black men. You got to really study Elijah Muhammad from a scientific level, aside from your emotions. What he did, how he developed, and the impact that it had on the people here in America. But a lot of times what happened was this. A lot of people, the Messiah concept, the religious dogmatic thing, which that ties into again, all right? This person is the one. Now, we have to understand that there's rank and file to everything. There's no doubt about that. There has to be levels. There has to be a head. There should be a leader. There should be leaderships. There should be committees that deal with things. That is where there's checks and balances, an organization. When you do that on a nation building type of thing, even within that, it's not going to be perfect. And it's subject to corruption and other things. That's why you have to have laws, checks, balances, and enforcers. That's a no-brainer. But when a person is saying, I have the blueprint for the liberation of a people, and when you put people together, you talk about autonomy, you're going to need laws because people have personalities, character traits, different. People evolve at different levels. So to have checks and balances amongst people, you need law. So I'm not saying the need for a law is something we didn't need. I'm not saying leadership and that certain people may be qualified, okay, and have certain amount of experience to lead more than somebody else. I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is the Messiah idea is what we may need to reconsider and reevaluate as it pertains to us becoming liberated, because anybody who has come with a messianic perspective and idea, okay, just like how Uncle Tom was stagnated him, was his concept and idea and belief in religion. That's what always kept him in check. When you read the gist of the story by Harriet Beecher Stowe, a lot of people who have the Messiah concept, which are two ideas that came out that impacted the people just coming out of slavery around the same time where you had Uncle Tom leadership, and on the other end of the millennium, you have Black Messianism. Okay, even if they didn't call themselves a Black Messiah, you have people like David Walker, Martin Delaney, which was considered Black Messianic by association of the fact that they were proto-nationalistic. They weren't Pan-Africanists, but they believed in building a nation free and sovereign for Black people right here. Okay, David Walker was a physician. He was former military personnel. He was one of the main proponents of Black nationalism and brought the concept and our Black ideas, a manifest of what Black nationalism is and what it ought to be, a blueprint for that way back then. Okay, so, but a lot of people looked at, and this is the time when people had a religious type of solution for our people, or a political, but it was either at one end of the millennium, a pendulum, and they always went or clashed at each other along the lines. The Black Messiah, the Uncle Tom, the dichotomy, and where there kind of is a thin line between them and where they meet at a certain juncture is what we're talking about, and how the detriment of both of these kind of characteristics and the mythos behind both of these kind of characteristics that you see permeate our community and certain types of leadership is a detriment to us, and it's something that we can do away with. but it's something that I don't want to attack because people do believe in their leaders and they do believe in their leadership. So it's not to go at any specific person or leader or group. Another disclaimer, but it is to address and critique and to dissect the concept and ideas of certain movements. Okay, because no thing is above truth, and anything that is true can be subject to critique anyway. So there shouldn't be nothing to get over emotional about for those that it may pertain to. Okay, we've had many other groups. We had Ben Ami, another Israelite group. He was the Son of God. He was the man. Some people say, well, in the scriptures it said in the last days there will be false prophets. Well, everybody that said that there will be false prophets had a prophecy that failed too. ISUPK, my brothers. No disrespect, because I have respect for you. But the truth is a respecter of no person. It says in the scriptures, I believe it's Ezekiel 13, that a false prophet should be stoned in Israel. What constitutes a false prophet? A false prophecy. If you prophesy something and it doesn't take place, he should be labeled a false prophet and should be stoned. So the scriptures say. I don't say that should happen. I think that's a little harsh. Brother might have made a mistake. Now, unless he just deceived a lot of people, got a lot of money, told a lot of people to drop out of school, to travel to the city that I'm in, give up your homes, okay? Forget your family, isolate yourself from them because they're against the truth. And people have done all that only to come to find out that that black Messiah had made a prophecy that was going to happen in the year 2000. And some in other years, 1970, that was a year, 1966. There were different years with this. None of these things have came to into fruition. Only thing that happened is you had groups of people that split up and came to ramifications or subgroups into other organizations and recreated or reinvented themselves as other groups and organizations like the original UPK. All respect due, it's just what happened. It's not slander, it's what happened. You know what I'm saying? After the year 2000 and that prophecy didn't take place, Dr. York, okay, under As-Said Ali Imam Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, which was his name before he just went by Malik as a long name, but that's the name he had. Okay, Al-Imam Isa, the word Jesus is in there. Okay, by association, that puts you in messianic kind of territory, because by taking on the name like that in the last day with a message about these latter times and a judgment of what was going to happen, okay, would make you messianic by association, and therefore a false messianic, because that which was said was going to happen did not take place. So therefore, instead of building leaders and leadership, the people followed the leader, and when the leader fell, there was no leadership there to carry it on. So the body fell, or it didn't completely fall, but the momentum wasn't consistent as it was prior to the leader falling, and there was no blueprint for change that advanced and evolved them to the next level.
Let me ask you a question.
We see this constantly happening.
Let me ask you a question, brother.
Yeah.
How do we become so smart? And we are a brilliant and smart people. We got all the PhDs, the MDs, you name it. But we still don't understand. And this is crazy. This is the shit that still shows that we are still a slave, or they are still a slave. With all the master degrees you got, you still don't understand that all religions are man-made. With all the degrees you got on your back, you still don't understand that the white man made a lot of these religions to control, to manipulate, to keep us separated. So that's why I be saying, damn, man, even with the master degrees, with all the books that you write, you still don't get it. Like for example, let me give you an example. We got Dr. Wesley Muhammad, which is a brilliant scholar.
Respect.
Brilliant brother. You still don't get it, that the religion that you're following is man-made. You don't know that we've been doing something as a people way before Islam. You know, and I could go on. I could mention a lot of names, like even I mentioned some more names because I'm not shitting on nobody. I'm saying Umar Johnson, Dr. Umar Johnson, with the brilliance that you got, with the knowledge that you got, you still don't understand that the white man came up with the God concept. I'm not talking about what we called it back then. I'm talking about the God, the word that we use today. If we know that God come from where God come from? The word God.
Agreed.
Okay. Now, once we know that, and a lot of us do know that, a lot of the scholars do know that the word God is a Greek word. but they still will use it in their dialogues. You know, we've been here before Greece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we will still use these words. What's up with that psychology, brother? With all the brilliance that we have, Dr. Naeem Akbar. I mean, I could go on for days and name a lot. My brother, Dr. Reggie, Shaka Utmost. You know, I could go on with a lot of names, but they will change it and say, well, you know, I'm not talking about the Greek God. I'm talking about this God. And brother, what God are you talking about? Because we wasn't talking about that until the white man taught us about it. Well, that's the point that I'm making. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, I stand to be corrected. But I know all religion come from man. It was man-made, man.
I want to answer that and say this.
All right.
Now, the concept of, because we're speaking English, so we can't get too caught up in this word comes from that Greek word, because if we speak in English, and I speak English fluently, and I'm not a linguist, I don't speak other languages, just keeping it real, then I have to come to the reality that certain words that I'm using to articulate what I'm saying is being expressed in a language that it consists of Greek, Latin, and other languages. So when we say the word God, we also want to put context, subtext. We want to understand that words have connotation, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They denotation and they have connotation. So you can denote things or they can convey things. So you got to understand, when a brother, depending on if he's not being just over dogmatic, he's not being, or she is being over parochial or religious about the concept and idea. I'm very pious. What I'm trying to say is, when somebody says that there is a God, not like a European, I may be inclined to be interested in what they're saying, think they may be on to something, because our ancestors have always, Sarnetta, given the concept and idea of a higher intelligence, even though they didn't use the word higher intelligence, of a higher power. They've always talked about that. They've always said that, how these things manifested themselves into everything. We talk about how even us, we gave the world science, math, arts, you know, all the different disciplines, the concepts in which they turn to religion. When we say things like that, we have to evaluate what concepts that they turned into religion, what concepts that they distorted and watered down and made into what they call, or what we even call, gods now. So I wouldn't take off the table that we did believe in and have reverence for a higher intelligence. We know that we're on earth, okay? Even if we didn't say the words back then, we are on earth. We knew that we are a part of a creation, that we come and go, the things in the creation remain, the things around the creation influence the creation of which we're standing on. We have no control over these things, and we don't even know how they work in its totality. Therefore, there has to be a higher level of knowledge and faculty of thought that we have not yet tapped into. Therefore, we will refer to this in a spirit of humility and giving grace and thanks to those creative forces in which sustain us. We call it God now. Our ancestors called it something. Now the religions are something totally different. Those were developed, especially under Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The Islamic wars and invasion of the 700s. We know that the Inquisitions, the Roman Inquisitions. We know about the different just wars that took place to establish these religions, to control, to dominate. They were used for socio-political purposes and to enrich the people who were the creators and the gatekeepers and the perpetuators of these dogmas. That's totally different than the white man distorted a lot of things that we gave, not just the concept of God. So just because a lot of us have a God concept, I believe, a lot of us have been so confused by the white man and God, we can also say that we done gave up on God completely, the whole idea itself. Mm-hmm. And that we can say that was strategically done. So I'm not saying I believe in God like the way they do believe it, but as a person who they say only uses 10% of their brain, as people, right? We only use, they say, for intellectualizing, for and I may be wrong, but this is the general consensus that most people are used to. If I am wrong, I still stand corrected. Okay, even if it's 8% or whatever percent that it is, we use a smaller percentage of our mind for critiquing, for knowing, for cross-examining, for creating things than we do outside of that. So there's parts of our brain that we haven't even tapped into that we don't even use yet. There are things that we don't even know that we don't even know we don't know yet. Like I said before, there are known knowns, things that you know you don't know. Okay? Like, hey, I know I don't know everything. You saying that is a confirmation to yourself that there are known knowns, things that I know. 1 + 1 = 2. If I jump out this window, I'm gonna fall and crack my head open. There's things that you know that you know that you know. Things that you know that you know that you don't know. Then there's some things that you don't know, right? Because you're limited in your capacity to use certain parts of your brain and hemispheres of your brain to certain extents. There are things that you don't know that you don't even know that you don't know.
People, man.
One thing at a time. One thing at a time, son.
We as a
that you don't even know that you don't know.
All right.
Okay. So we don't want to take everything off the table, and we don't want to say that there's no creator, because that gets spooky too. Because if you don't know everything about there is to know about, and you say something is not because based on what your limitation of that is, that's more spooky itself. Yeah. It's more spooky to say something isn't based on your lack of the totality of it than for you to know a little bit of it and say it absolutely is. That's the most spookiest thing. Okay. But just to put things in perspective, we have a Messiah and a God complex from the distorted lens and view of the European as it was given to us to incarcerate our thoughts, to limit our pursuit of liberation and what we'll do to obtain liberation. And that's why we're talking about the dichotomy of the Uncle Tom and the Black Messiah, and also along some lines where they almost damn near meet by proxy of dogmatic belief systems that are a hindrance to both viewpoints ever liberating us. We had symbolic or archetypes of the Uncle Tom, or which would be considered the Uncle Tom. Okay, so we have archetypes and examples of those who would be considered the Messiah. Okay, Ben Ami led the people in Israel in the 1960s. His name was Ben Carson in Chicago, Illinois. Okay, started a Hebrew Israelite group. Okay, Old Testament Hebrews, by the way. Don't try to put that as the New Testament, different from the. They did that. They went right over to first in Liberia. Okay, and then eventually they went over to a place called Dimona in Israel. Okay, and over there, in order to stay liberated, independent people, they had a lot of them had to join the Israeli army. They had to join the damn government. Okay, now their leader done died. The one who they gave their life to gave up everything and went over there for liberation, and they still didn't die. They said, "See, y'all still in America. That's why y'all are lost. But still, and y'all need to become liberated. Go back to your holy land. We went to our holy land. We went there. I'm not saying to have a leadership is wrong, but we have to consider the leadership that we have. We don't need no damn messiahs no more. The messiahs haven't worked. The Uncle Tom there sure didn't work. Some of the Uncle Toms are fucking messiahs. Some of the messiahs are Uncle Toms.
So why is God hiding from us? Why is God hiding from us? We are a people that really wants to believe that there's a God out there that's going to help us get through life, when we don't understand that we are the one that's going to help us get through life. We got to put the focus and energy on us, because that's what we are. We are the energy. We are still dependent on a mystery to come down to pay our rent, to put food on the table. And when that happens, when you go to work and make your money, we give the blessings to God. Thank you, God, for paying my bill. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy to me. We turn around with all the struggling, with all the work that we have put in. We turn around and give that to a deity that does not exist, that we don't see. That's the problem.
Okay, because the concept of God that has been given to us,
right?
We're not, the God that we're looking for is right in front of us when we look in the mirror. But our eyes, our spiritual, if you want to say, or the highest faculties of perception, those eyes are so shut that we're under hypnosis. So we're under hypnosis with spiritually shut eyes, looking for a concept of God that we fail to see that we are in the person. And that's not to say any arrogance. If the black man is God in person, why is he in the situation that he is in? That was the whole reason why a lot of people attracted and adopted the Black Messiah concept of people who were the original people of humanity, the parents of humanity. They gave the world these concepts and ideas, are now at the bottom, now at the symbolic Emancipation Proclamation, we're rising up, a lot of people said this has to be a sign for humanity. A people who were on the bottom that has risen up as an example of the redemption, the fall, and the resurrection and redemption of man. Okay, so a lot of us try to embody these concepts and ideas. You understand something? We are spiritually blind. Now, I use the word spiritually. I know it has a religious connotation to it, but we have to talk the language of the people that's relatable to them. Our people are under a spell, I like to call it. We are under hypnosis.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And this hypnosis is older and predates just slavery. And then even in slavery, we've done it. And then we have our own black messiahs and black Uncle Toms who have also helped to reinforce, to reinstitutionalize, to upgrade, and to even re-indoctrinate and remix these old concepts and ideas. That's what we're talking about. So a lot of us, the way we are, and I'm not going to say we're spiritual people. The things that we think are not God and are spooky is really just unseen and we have not been reacquainted or reintroduced to those spiritual systems that we think is spooky, but that is really ours. We're just spiritually blind to a lot of things that we have to wake up to, or we're going to be caught up in word semantics, going in circles like a dog chasing his tail.
I remember giving a man $1 one time. He was out panhandling, and the brother came by me, and I gave him $1. And he said, "Oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus." And I said, "Hold up, brother. Give my money back." And he said, "What's the matter?" I said, "Man, you just thank Jesus. I'm the one that gave you that, not Jesus." And he said, "Oh, all right. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother." I said, "Yeah, come on, bro. I gave you that $1. Not no Jesus, man." But let me ask you this. There's a explosion of knowledge, and the people are starting to really wake up. I looked at a video with Snoop Dogg, with T.I., with Hughley, and they going in. Snoop Dogg said, Snoop Dogg said, "Yo, which one of you Uncle Tom ass niggas
I can't wait to
gonna perform for Donald Trump? I can't wait to explode on your ass." Now that's Snoop Dogg. Then you got, who else? You got T.I. I'm beginning to like T.I., man, because I'm starting to see T.I.
He has a whole conscious album. Check it out.
Every day going in.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at on YouTube, and T.I. was going in on Steve Harvey, and who else? Floyd Mayweather, motherfucking ass. I'm disappointed in Floyd. I love Floyd. When he was boxing, I'm riding with Floyd.
Yeah.
Now you got Floyd Mayweather. He made a whole new custom-made suit that cost thousands of dollars just so he could be seen at the inauguration with Donald Trump. I mean, what's going on with that, brother? Get into some of that shit, that coding, because we're dealing with the coding shit. Get into some of that.
Well, you know, people are a product of conditioning, Sarnetta. You understand that we were in chattel slavery a lot longer than we were free. We were in chattel slavery over 250 years. And when I say free, I'm not saying that we're free. I'm not saying that. But we do have more room to move around then. And there were certain laws federal government enacted that assured us certain kind of liberties that we absolutely didn't have at one point. But the psychology is what I'm talking about when I say that we think we're free, went around a lot of lines that we're not. You got to understand how the mind works and how repetition is the mother of all learning. So since we have been repetitively indoctrinated with specific dogma, concepts, and ideas of ourselves on the plantation, all slaves wasn't just together. You couldn't network, you couldn't be together in a group of 3 or 4. You had the Black Christian codes in the antebellum period, which were laws on which governed Negroes on the plantation. These laws were given specifically, and it's going into the whole subconscious or psychological dynamic of how that has transversed into today, because them shackles haven't been broken. Those shackles haven't been broken. And as long as we equate physical, so-called limited freedom that we have been granted, okay, at the Emancipation Proclamation, okay, and then we factor out the fact that slavery was a peculiar institution by proxy of the fact that it had to do with the mind, captivating the mind and enslaving the mind, unlike the people who also suffered slavery in the world, because it wasn't just us, but I speak for us first and foremost, don't get it twisted, okay? When you have people under imperialism in China, under the British imperialism, and people of India under the imperialism of the British. Well, that was a colony of them, even though that was their country. You know what I'm saying? These people, right? When you had the coolie enslavement, when they were bringing slaves, that's right, on ships, right here to to North Central South America, to the Caribbeans, Chinese and East Indians, they were still allowed to practice their culture. They still had their culture, their language, and their religion intact. All right? So their sense of nationalism wasn't taken from them. There wasn't literature, art, religion, theology, and bureaucratic policy that was enacted to deprive these people of the essence of that which they were, therefore rendering them to just be a human shell of that which they once were. But here it is, they look Chinese on the outside, but they were completely European on the inside. Now you have those examples of that, but collectively that is not the case. But see, with us, what the case is, it's different. We have been indoctrinated under a peculiar institution of slavery, whereas our minds have been indoctrinated purposely a certain way. Okay, so when you take a hard drive out of a computer and you destroy that hard drive, yeah, you still got the shell of what looks like a computer, the flat screen and all the keyboards and everything, but there's a whole new drive in that, the whole new hard drive.
Snoop and them T.I.
Okay, so going into that, our people today are products and components of that. We are the product, children, grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren of the same people that were dealing with the same problems now. So when we ask why are we cooning, why don't we see it nowadays, we keep forgetting key components and elementary points of ponderance. It seems that we just like to hear who can articulate that which we already know the answer to the best. And, you know, that gets kind of played out sometimes. Sometimes you want to just spit facts and keep it moving beyond that and get to the meat and potatoes of the problem. We are under fucking hypnosis as a people. I give much respect, and there's a resurgence and a rebirth of knowledge that is happening, and it's inevitable. Snoop Dogg, you know what I'm saying? My man went in, and I'm glad to see rappers waking up. I'm glad to see T.I. going in the way he's going in. Shout out to Willie D. That song, You a Coon. You heard that song by him?
No.
You a Coon? He's going in on rappers and on Willie D from the Ghetto Boys.
That's wow, I gotta go look that up.
What? Oh man, he's going in. We see a resurgence of militancy. I'm starting to rise up in the community again, and this is something that we need. And what we don't need in a way of that is some black messiahs or Uncle Toms trying to tell us that nah, don't go that route. That don't work. We got to go this route because our salvation is in the sky after we die. Nah. Get invigorated. Okay. Get that spirit of RBG resonate within you, but take us somewhere and do something with it. Let's not just be symbol with no substance. Let's silence the critics, okay? And then more importantly, let's impress our future generation.
Yo, somebody keeps saying Razzcast.
Razzcast goes
Razzcast. I haven't heard Razzcast go in on no political shit yet.
He has been off and on for many years though.
I heard his records.
Yeah.
Razzcast was one of my top.
Razzcast
he went in on like the Jesus and all that shit. But I gotta type him up and look him up.
I'm gonna go back to, and this is like the rappers back in the day when hip hop was conscious. We had, remember that song Self-Destruction?
Of course.
Self-Destruction was very brilliant. Shout out to the West Coast version too, because they had we're all in the same gang. You know what I'm saying? Which was deep. You know what I'm saying? When you listen to the words of Self-Destruction, especially my man D Nice. His part was ill because he says, what he says, it's time to stand together in unity. Because if not, we're soon to be self-destroyed, unemployed. The rap race will be lost without a trace. For a clue with what's to do, it stop the violence and kick the science down the road that we call eternity, where knowledge is born and you learn to be self-sufficient, independent. To teach the each is what rap intended. But society wants to invade. But do not walk this path that they laid. Is self-destruction.
Yo, that shit is hard right now. That shit it applies right now.
What he said right now about them trying to, and what conscious rap means, it was about kicking science. It was about self-sufficiency, independent. If we didn't do it, the rap race, he didn't even call it the rap community. He said the rap race will be lost without a trace. Now you got white people talking about that's the greatest rapper of all time on BET.
Right.
The rap race will be lost without a trace, with a clue with what to do. How we gonna get free? We was giving you the message, the blueprint, and rapping about the blueprint before that.
Now, when you listen to his lyrics,
it kicked the science.
You'll see that shit manifested.
And it manifested itself.
Right.
Everything he said, self-destruction. The destruction
of headed for self-destruction.
Yeah, and look at the words that he said in that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Humpty, America, get busy, Humpty. The red, the white, the blue, and the red for Crips and Bloods, the whites for who's got you doing time. Bust some caps on one another, the underground's down for peace among brother. Kill a black man, Yo, what are you, retarded? Do what you like, unless you like gang banging. So you know how that song went. He was kicking it. America, get busy, Humpty. The red, the white, the blue, and the red for Crips and Bloods, the whites for who got you doing time. Busting caps on one another, the underground's down for peace among brothers. See, they was talking that when at that time you seen that kind of music was ushered out.
Yeah,
that was like the last generation. They made sure they ended Tupac with that kill Illuminati. I remember when I was talking about Illuminati back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, when I came into consciousness, that was new to me. When you were saying Illuminati to a person, they looking at you like, nigga, what's that? Some new aluminum foil? What you mean Illuminati? This nigga crazy. Now that's the damn one of the most used words. You hear that like B, Son, God, just as much as those terms. You hear Illuminati. Everybody's saying something about the Illuminati now. But there was a time when people that was giving them Jews about it, and where these entities, whether they were really called Illuminati or not, we don't get too caught up in the conspiracy theories. Although there was a lot of truth in it, there's also a lot of distortion in it too. But let's deal with the truth in it, okay? A lot of the people who was talking about that then and where hip hop would be, the state of the consciousness of even the conscious community would be distorted, warped as it is now. That's right. We're living in those times. And what you're seeing now is a struggle, a battle. This is spiritual warfare, if you will. It's manifested in the flesh as a battle, as you see, for the minds and the hearts of the youth, for political power, for war and over resources. But a lot of these things that we're seeing are signs of things that have to come to pass. Only thing we have to ask ourselves, what part do we play in it? What position do we play in it? Are the parents of the planet are going to still play the children of the planet? Meaning, are we going to still be acquiescent to their concepts, ideas, views, philosophies, and dogmas of what our salvation ought to be and how to get it? Because if so, there's no difference between the Black Messiah and the Uncle Tom. If we still have to rely on his book, his perspective, his millennium concepts of the year 2000, a lot of people like to sweep that up under the rug, but there was a lot of black movements teaching that. Dr. York was teaching by the year 2000, the end was going to come. Please tell me it wasn't. In the books of Revelations that he wrote, Leviathan 666, 1992 was supposed to be a cashless society. It never happened. A lot of people left that movement and grew before they became New Wapians, went back into the streets, went crazy. I did. You know, I was confused, like, damn, shit, nothing's true. I'm young, you know what I mean? I got myself up by the bootstraps. That's not everybody's story. You see what I'm saying? And that's here it is. And then they'll switch and come up with a new concept and idea, reorganize, get a whole new group of people, because there's many fish in this blind sea of black people, and which you can get into that net or network, you know what I'm saying? And scoop them in and have more blind fish. You see what I'm saying? So I only say that, which I'm saying out of genuine love. You know, brother Sankofa, what's your answer? My answer is seeking solutions. That's my answers, because there is no definitive answer. And as things change, the approach to how you would obtain and get certain things would be an answer that you would have to employ for that time. So an answer is ever enfoldment of certain knowledge that you would need. What people consider freedom might not be what I consider freedom. Some people's freedom is they want to go to Jerusalem and walk around and be free. Like, our freedom might be, my perception of freedom, I want the foot of white supremacy off of us as a collective. Then we can discuss different cities and states. If we was to hypothetically be a people of autonomy and have our own, you know what I'm saying, states and land, we would have to have different states, because a lot of us are going to be different. And I embrace and I appreciate that. We gave the world all these concepts and ideas, but the world done dogged us, distorted it, and gave it back to us this way. And we see the world all fucked up and twisted, and you know what I'm saying? And a lot of the concepts and ideas that we were given, even though there were many people with good intentions, some people were knowingly misleading people. Some people probably really felt that they were onto something. Nonetheless, these things have been proven not to work. So if I say, why should I believe that this man is the man of the hour now, when every man of the hour that came before him have proven not to be that dude that had the liberation for our people. You know how many cults and groups and movements, and then when the white man do what we try to do, especially in the 60s, more of them came out, doomsday cults and all that. Many black groups came out with their doomsday cults and up the ante with their message. Only a lot of times they found out they got locked up, died broke, lonely, with their leadership all divided and branched off into other groups and movements. Is this going to be continue to be the scenario while we ask whatever has the Black Power movement done? It's not comparing nothing. It's about the Black Power movement is people from any walk of life, whether no matter what dogma you follow, no matter what path you're on, that you look at the collective liberation of the people. To me, and you're about something and trying to bring that into fruition is a Black Power movement. We just need to reevaluate some things, know a little bit of history on some concepts and ideas. See, and the reason why we should know these things is when you know a little bit more history about organizations, groups, movements, their origins, their objectives, their agendas, how they didn't work, why they didn't work. When you hear this kind of playing out again, you're less likely to be deceived or caught up into the whirlwind of these movements. Why? Because it's easier for you to demystify a lot of these ideas. It's a lot more easier for you to demystify these ideas. You know what I mean? And then we can say, well, we know we should take this off the table. These concepts and ideas have not worked. They have. These other ones have. And then I also want to hit the people off with just a little bit of information that you may want to check out, because I read a lot. You know what I'm saying? Now, reading is good. Reading is not the only thing you got to do. It has to be, you should act more than we read. You know what I'm saying? But as a person that's active, I do a lot. You get caught up with life. It seems like there's never enough hours in a day. If you go to see my house, I got notes all over the place, books all over the place. It's just because I'm always taking notes. I'm like, damn, sometimes I don't even feel like I got, you know, time and stuff like that to really read the way I want to. So I came across a website, not a website, but a page on YouTube. And it's called Exposure Expo. Exposure Expo, EXPO. And on that, basically what it is when you subscribe to that is basically a lot of YouTube audiobooks. Okay, it's like a channel with YouTube audiobooks. Some of the books I came across on there was The Destruction of Civilization by Chancellor Williams, the whole book. So somebody's reading it to you. Okay, Seize the Time Slot rather by Bobby Seale. The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey from 1923. The Wretched of the Planet Earth by Frantz Fanon. The $40 Million Slaves by William Rodin. The ISIS Papers, you name it, all kind of books on there. So for those brothers and sisters out there who are seeking knowledge, who want to get some books and maybe some other books that you're pertinent to that you might be seeking or not even aware of that you might come across that I haven't mentioned, you'll come across on that page. But just check it out for those who are seeking knowledge, okay, or those who already have knowledge and want to steadily upgrade that knowledge. There's ways in which you can get it, and we don't have to use excuses nowadays because of the technology that we have. Okay, we can take advantage of that technology and use it to our advantage as a learning tool. You know what I'm saying? So you can have your headphones if you're on the bus or the train traveling. You know what I'm saying? You have your headphones on. So if you got to clean up, you don't got time to sit down and read. You got to clean up. You got people coming over the next day. Put that on in surround sound. Put that book on. Clean up. You working out, doing your crunches. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get right. Get that knowledge while you're getting right. Do a push-up and pick a book up, like I said, but now you can just throw the headphones on and listen to it. So just a little gem for the people out there, you know what I mean? And then like back to what Sarnetta was saying about the whole God concept. Everybody knows that there's a God. God hasn't done nothing for us. Where is this God? Because it would have it that the government is the real God. We know it says on a dollar bill, which mostly at the end of the day, what everybody needs, it says, in God we trust on it. But see, that God is not talking about a sovereign and higher intelligent being. The damn sure ain't talking about one that the Africans created or that we need in our life at this point. That God is G-O-D, gold, oil, diamonds. That's what backs that dollar bill. And because a lot of people have a lust for that dollar bill, you know what I'm saying? That has become the God. Look at the way the paradigm is set up. There's 110 senators, 435 congressmen, 9 Supreme Court justices. And there's only one president. So that's 545 human beings out of 300 million Americans that is directly responsible for the whole bureaucratic system in which governs you. But here it is, you got a God which is omnipotent and omnipowerful, and a messianic leader or a representative in this time and day, which he has sent supposedly to those who believe in those concepts and ideas. But here it is, this God seems to not bat an eye, lift a hand, or poot in the wind as it comes to fighting on behalf of the liberation of his own people. Now, I'm not saying that we don't or shouldn't believe in a higher power, but maybe we're going about it a little wrong. Maybe we have a European kind of concept on how we use God to become a liberated people. A lot of people use God and they got warriors. That God infuses them to be warriors. Now, am I saying to get up and go out into a suicidal situation? No. But we are creative people. Some of the best and the brightest, articulate, and people on this planet is us. Now, we gave the people these scientists. Maybe we need to kind of subside from the ideas and the concepts in which how it has been indoctrinated into us. And we need to reevaluate how we infuse ourselves with these concepts and ideas. Maybe we need to tell the Black Messiah, listen, if we're in all messiahs and messiahs in different levels, I don't need your messiahship, because the messiahship has never worked for us. You know what I'm saying? Not one Black Messiah who have ever came have not failed us. And many of them had taught that year 2000 thing. Why? Because the money is the almighty God, the dollar, to a lot of them. And for money, you know what I'm saying? And for people who they are lost, a lot of poverty preachers have were inspired to raise up, and they were really Uncle Toms, because they were deceiving of people in loyalty to their master and his dollar. Okay, another vice that's used. Okay, and then using the Messiah concept, okay, to mislead our people under the auspices of trying to lead them. Okay, so we need to definitely reevaluate things, dig a little bit deeper into things, you know, ask some questions about things, demand some solutions about some things, you know what I mean? And, you know, a little bit about the author who wrote this book right here, who a lot of the information that I'm dealing with comes out of, okay? He's a very powerful brother, okay? His name is Wilson Jeremiah Moses, okay? He's responsible for writing a few other books. You know what I'm saying? So if you check this book out and you go on Google and look it up, you'll see the other books that he's responsible for writing. Goes into a lot of powerful information.
Okay, now I want you to take a 3-minute break.
All right.
You need some water?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're gonna get you some water, brother.
All right.
But I also wanna play this clip, because again, this is my last time playing the clip. And when I woke up today, our people was mad at me. I went online, I seen the video, I seen the people.
How'd it come out so far?
It's good, good. And some of the people was mad.
That's true.
Yeah, and the reason why they mad is because they don't really understand who Sarnetta is. They don't know that I've been doing this shit way before YouTube, family.
Yep.
I've been going in like this is nothing new. See, it's new to y'all. It's new to y'all because now it's on YouTube. But this shit is not new. I've been doing this for like over 20-something years, running coons off of 125th Street. That's your brother Sarnetta.
Yeah.
I've been running coons off 125th for years. I've been making crackers bow down for years. But see, this is new to y'all. So when y'all see it, y'all like, oh shit, Sarnetta bugging out. Sarnetta done lost his mind. You fool. I've been doing this shit for over 15 years. What's wrong with y'all? You see, when I seen this nigga walk up 125th Street with the shirt on and the NYPD hat on, he had on the NYPD of all the cops who was killed in the line of duty. But he refused to acknowledge all of the brothers and sisters who the police killed. And family, I don't give a fuck if he had his mother with him. See, y'all weak-hearted ass niggas and Negroes. Y'all too fucking weak. Can you imagine if Sean Bell's wife walked by seeing this nigga with these police officers, or Amadou Diallo, or Eric Gardner, or Kai Gurley, or Sandra Bland, and they see this nigga with the police shirt on? That right there in itself is a goddamn disrespect to our people. So for you to get mad at me because I blasted the coon, it shows me that you niggas is not really ready for freedom, because you're still making excuses for fucking Toms and sellouts. He is raising his children up to be the next motherfucking Tom, to slaughter your children. So sometime maybe they need to see what a real goddamn example of a real man is and step up against the crackers. But you niggas are too weak-hearted to do shit like that. So listen, man, I've been doing this shit for a long time. You niggas are just want to tiptoe through the tulip type niggas, and you get mad at me because you never seen a black man that stand up like me, that make a cracker bow the fuck down, that make a white bitch bow down and kiss my feet. Y'all not used to that type of shit. So y'all say, oh shit, here goes Sarnetta. That nigga crazy. That nigga wild. That nigga stupid. No, nigga, you stupid, motherfucker. You the stupid niggas. Because if you had any love in your heart for your people, God damn it, you'll be standing with me and not running from me. That's real fucking talk. So let me play this clip right here. Last time. Let me play this clip.
Today, they'll be able to eat. I know my address will be able to change real soon. And Hillary, I know against some of her ain't gonna happen because she got enough black puppets already with her.
Now, I know you for being out here. You've been very instrumental, and especially the Harlem Business Development Zone and everything. Speak about, because you just touched on it, but I want you to elaborate a little bit further. What?
See, first of all, shout out to my brother Blue Pill and Red Pill. I love my brothers. Ain't nothing slighted on them. But we're not about to get this fucking coon no motherfucking shine like that. So tempers are starting to flare inside of me. Harriet Tubman is starting to move inside of me. You know, the energy and the spirit of our ancestors and Amadou Diallo and all those that were slain in the hands of these motherfucking police. So I said, hold up, man, let me get the mic. Because we tiptoeing around this nigga. This is a fucking nigga that will kill Malcolm in a minute. A nigga that will kill Khalid in a minute. Come on, man. Don't, yo, man.
What happened to Harlem when the Clintons got here? Because we're celebrating 9/11, and we know that after 9/11, they appropriated certain, rezoning monies for businesses in Lower Manhattan to come uptown. And that's when the Harlem Business Zone right over there, that building right over there, with the help of Calvin Butch, started selling out Harlem for the Clintons, and they opened up the way, and they used 9/11 as a catalyst. Can you speak?
That was a very good point. And speaking of that, I want to say, all the Democrats and forces that we don't, from David Dinkins, Percy Sutton, everybody black that we don't vote for, you know what I'm saying, with the black movement, hey, he's black and we vote for him. Guess what? They all put the shaft up on this. You know what I'm saying? That's why Harlem is so. Let's say nothing that happened by mysteriously. It's these black so-called politicians.
The shirt that you got on, those are officers that was killed in the line of duty?
Yes, these are officers that was killed in the line of duty.
All right. Now, I want to ask you, why would you represent that instead of putting on your brother's shirt, all the brothers that been killed? And I noticed you got on the NYPD hat. You representing the police officers hard, brother. Talk to me about that.
Okay, that's how you look at it. First and foremost, my daughter, if you can Google it right now, she has an organization called Blue Lives Matter.
He's proud that his daughter having a fucking organization called Blue Lives Matter, meaning the fucking police. Yeah. Blue Lives Matter. Come on, man. The fuck wrong with y'all niggas? Y'all mad at me?
She started this when Officer Ramos and Lou got killed. Blue Lives Matter. Blue Lives Matter. Yeah. Because I'm not gonna raise him to get killed by the police. Right. See, if I raised him, but my attitude was how I was raised. You know, the police, then he go with that thing. Oh, the police ain't trying to see the police. Next thing you know, he gonna be shot up. So sometimes we can poison our kids to get murdered. So that's why. So that's why I got the hat on out there, because those folks didn't have to die. They went to World Trade Center. Life was a life. Black light, green light, blue light was all the same.
One related to. So in other words, you can't beat them, join them, so I don't get shot down, or my babies get shot down. Let me represent the police instead of representing.
Police ain't never did nothing to me, first and foremost. Let's get this out the way. Let this person, the man in the mirror, police ain't never did. The only time I had a problem with the police when I broke the law. And if anybody, like I say, the police just come up on to him, hey man, I'm gonna do this. It never happened to me.
Okay, all right. Interesting position. Now, I would never doubt or knock children's genius. So they are very bright, and their hearts are in a good place to want to speak to a segment of humanity. So I would never speak.
Come on, man. My brother, I love Smalls, but he be changing the fucking 2 weeks. Now watch this.
These are
I told Red Pill,
some of the people that were murdered.
Hold on. I told Red Pill, go get the sign off the wall and let's bring that shit to this Negro so he can see all these black people that been murdered. Why you ain't got a shirt on with them? Now look, he don't even want to say their name, bro. Look.
By the police departments across America. All right. First and foremost, we want to say the name of our good brother Tamir Rice. You say his name?
I don't have to say his name.
You say his name, brother.
I can say, I don't have to, we play like some kind of little game here with a 54-year-old man. I'll say Tamir Rice, but don't, let me just say this.
All right, hold on. We're not finished. Sean Bell.
Oh, now, I'm glad you said Sean Bell. Now, if you go in the history books of Sean Bell, from the child on, I was right there with his mother and father. So when you say about Sean Bell, I wasn't there for no money like Al Sharpton was. So when you say Sean Bell, make sure you go to the footage and see who Al was at on that whole trial during the Sean Bell trial. Now, once again, I'm going to say this again. When I deal with life in general, I deal with the man in the mirror. That's why I love like Michael Jackson. Everybody should celebrate that record and listen to that record. I don't have no images in the mirror when I look in the mirror. So when I look at these pictures, and it brings back sad memories. It brings back sad memories. Zango was there for a majority.
So on your chest?
Black strangers.
Yeah. What?
Officers on your chest.
Yeah.
Black officers died that day too.
Facts.
He looked just as black as me. That's not all white officers. If it was all white, I wouldn't have it on because that'd be disrespect. Okay. But it was black officers died that day too. Just like it was black firemen, black EMS. And once again.
So you're a humanitarian. You just love everybody.
No, I don't love everybody. I'm not with the LBG thing. I ain't falling to that part yet. I got accustomed to American ways to love somebody gay. Because the Bible says Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. But I love everybody else under the sun besides that LGBT thing. That LBG thing? No.
Okay, good cover.
Anything else there. Man, if you man, woman, boy, girl, I respect you and love you. Right. But if you getting, if your name is Steve and you going with Billy and you get folk, that's all good.
But if somebody in that shirt was gay, all lives matter. You said no. Hold on. Blue lives matter. That's what you pushing. Hold on, good brother. Blue lives matter.
All lives matter.
How?
All lives matter.
How can all lives matter? You against the LBGT?
No, listen. LBGT. The Bible says in the beginning.
Oh no.
There was Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. I'll say it again. This is what I said. This is what the Bible said. So I'll try to.
Are you the Bible?
No, but I live by it.
The bottom line is that you're a poor example of a black man in Harlem. You are walking up and down the street as a fucking nigga, and you raising your babies, and you acting like a fucking nigga in front of your children. Stand the fuck up. Be a black man. Be a black man. Stop acting like a fucking nigga. Take that fucking NYPD hat off. Take off the fucking crackers you got. Take off the fucking crackers you got on your shirt. You running around here like a fucking nigga, and you got these black men that was murdered in the hands of these fucking police officers. Standing in line of fire of the police officers. You walking up and down the street like a fucking coon, and you got your babies looking at a fucking poor example of a fucking nigga.
The black families did not have to do anything for us.
You're damn right, because this fucking coon ass nigga walking around with white police officer shirt on. The police got murdered. He got on a police officer shirt. But when it comes to these brothers, he don't want to mention their name. Stupid motherfucker. You're a stupid ignorant ass nigga.
You're right.
Test.
Think about this nigga trying to talk about food.
First of all, I'm not with the marching and all that shit. I'm not marching with no white motherfuckers. That's what you do. That's why you don't see me. That's why you don't see me.
I got rich off white motherfuckers. You don't know nothing about me, nigga. I got rich off
That's why he's representing the police. He got rich off of white folks. He said, fuck all the black people that got murdered. I'm gonna represent the white cops. Stupid ass fucking niggas.
So the same payoff that he said that the families is taking.
So I just want to say, man, I just want to let y'all know that you got a lot of coons going in on your brother because of that. Because I got at him. But y'all didn't see his kids. His kids was someone up some. It wasn't up on them. They was up the block some.
That's him.
You see what I'm saying?
Uncle Tom.
So come on, man. When we get Toms like that, we got to let them have it. We can't let them come in our community, because next thing you know, people think they all right. That's all right. We accepting that shit. Fuck that. Go ahead, talk about that, Sankofa.
Hey, like I was saying, the Uncle Tom, man. We have an extreme sellout, or we have an extreme misleader claiming to be a messiah.
Right.
These are two problems as it pertains to our progression as a people in the area of politics and even a religion, because we are in both. Like, there's no getting around that. And both of these have captivated a large population of our people who are following blindly behind these people, or who are imitating, emulating, or following the archetypes of either the Messiah or the Uncle Tom. Both misleaders, both detriments, both bad archetypes for the Black community. I think as the people who are a product of centuries of conditioning, don't believe for 1 second that our journey into breaking mental shackles and evolving emotionally and consciously and subconsciously, that we have already arrived. We are still on a journey of freeing ourselves. We are still on a journey of freeing ourselves. Though we are conscious these days, many of us, and we have knowledge, many of us are still suffering the residue, the psychological, the psycho-spiritual, the indoctrinational residue of that which was indoctrinated into our minds, rendering us totally ignorant of a comprehensive knowledge of self, true spiritual knowledge, and any cultural astuteness. So what we do when we bring out this type of information is not to attack anybody's specific doctrine or group or movement, because we love the people. It is about tearing down idols. I said it is about tearing down idols, and it is about exposing contradictions. Why? Because it is geared towards the betterment of our people. In order for our people to become better, we have to see things for what they are. In order for us to see things for what they are, there has to be an opening up of the mind. In order for that to take place, certain critical topic must be provoked. In order to stimulate thought, respectable, enlightening, intelligent conversations must take place. Okay, and then we dissect things in a respectable manner for those who can do it amongst themselves. We already know the drama is inevitable, but we're talking to those who want to see a difference, those who want to be contributing factors in the change that inevitably is coming, that we play a part of as people that's becoming enlightened and learning. We are on a path. Life is a journey. Life is a journey. I said it before, and I like to say it because it never fails and it always resonates and it's pertinent no matter what the topic is. Life is a journey, not a destination. What this means, it can be interpreted in a lot of ways. But what I mean by that is, on a journey, you're traveling. A destination is you're already there. Where you're at in whatever school of thought, whatever level you're at as a child, 18, you know it all. Okay, that's your destination. 25, you know it all. That's your destination. But see, when you take a life as a journey approach, you know that there's more to travel amongst in this path. Now, when you're traveling in this path of consciousness, you're getting knowledge. You know that there's more knowledge that you have to brace yourself and pace yourself to come across. But you have to develop a certain kind of skill set and methodology in which you can develop the filter it takes to know which information you should let in and accept, resonate and grow from, interpret it and apply, and what things you shouldn't even have to deal with. You don't have to disrespect it. You can demystify it for what it is, and you can keep on pushing on. But everything happens in stages. We are traveling. We are in a journey, okay? Not a destination. And because we have been brainwashed longer than we have been free, the residue of the mental conditioning from chattel slavery is still what we're collectively fighting against. I don't care what symbol we wear. I don't care what school of thought we call ourselves. I don't care how long we've been in this knowledge, 50, 60 years, elders, what have you. Because the more we learn, the more we learn how much more we have to learn and how much we lacked, okay, and have been destitute of as it pertains to knowledge and the right skill set to employ in order to gear towards our liberation.
That black man who you got on your shirt, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, he quote, and I quote, Khalid Muhammad said, "If it's one thing I can't stand, it's a black man who acts like a white man. But if it's one thing I can't stand worse, it's a black man who acts like a white woman." That's what Khalid said. That's what Khalid would have said to him, bro. Khalid would have tore his ass up. And guess what? Right there in that same spot, that's where we used to always be, right up in Mark 125.
That's right.
Right up there on the second floor.
That's right.
So he walked right past Mark 125. I guess that was the spirit of Khalid that day, goddamn. That's real talk, man. Go ahead,
right,
brother.
Yeah, man. So, you know, and also I'm working on actually a PowerPoint presentation. You know, I've been going over this book, and not just this book, but many. This called a director, a director. I hope I'm saying it right. A Directory of Certified Uncle Toms in the 21st Century. That is a powerful book. If I'm saying it right, look it up. I don't have it on me or in my notes, and I don't even have the book yet myself. This is a book I'm going to be delving into, so I can get some of the points to ponder in a presentation that I'm working on, and I'm working on a lot more presentations. You're going to see Sankofa doing PowerPoints this year. You've seen me for many years talking and kicking it off the top because this is what I've been training and conditioning myself for years, but now it's time to take it to the next level, okay? And I'm going to be doing that, and you're going to be seeing a lot more presentations. And the first one that I am going to bring to you, I plan on doing right here in Sarnetta Studios. It's going to be called Message to the Bourgeoisie, the Boule, and the Uncle Tom Black Leadership. Okay, so I'm going to go into a lot of the information. Some things I was trying not to even tap into because I don't want to give up some of the goods. Because once I show you sound, color, motion, once I show you charts, diagrams, names, places, faces, and dates, once I show you executive orders and memorandums from the United States governments, once I show you clips of people saying it from their own lips, you know, and along with my breakdown and me putting it into perspective for the viewership, you're going to get a lot out of that. I'm not going to be telling you things about which you've never heard, but I'm going to be telling you things in a way in which you never quite heard it before. Okay, so it's going to be that which you know, reloaded, upgraded, signed, sealed, delivered. This knowledge is yours. Okay, this is what we do at the House of Consciousness. We bring this information to the people. I have a zeal for knowledge. This goes way back, family. This goes way back, long before YouTube, like how Sarnetta's been doing it for many years, and you knew me, Sarnetta, before.
That's right.
Before this.
Before you
so you can attest that, honey, you see me around for many years, brother Sarnetta, right? My volume's on, right? You can hear it? Okay. You seen and heard me around. I mean, you've seen me around many a years before I even came on the platform. Remember, I used to be on 2/5, Panthering, soldiering. That's right. And all that. Never said, let me get that mic. I got something to say.
That's right.
Huh? There was time when people were like, yo, once you get on that, I was like, I don't really care to. I don't really give a damn about it. I never really cared about that. Studying was my thing. This is something that me getting in front of the camera took on a life of its own. Me and Sarnetta already had that kind of relationship with both similar camaraderie and the new Black Panther Party. So that friendship was always there. You know what I'm saying? So when I got on and started showing my handle, that became on a life of its own. You know, you start to like getting on there. The people appreciate what you do. People tell you that they learn from that. So you start to, you know, okay, I can get cool with this. I never went left and got too caught up in this. And I always made sure I kept myself mentally and emotionally contained from becoming a monster in this, because I know I will fall off. The good that I have in me, the sincerity that I have in me, and for this, I don't ever want that to be compromised by some YouTube views or too much drama in YouTube and all that, because it can burn you out, turn you out, make you go astray if you're not balanced. You know what I'm saying? With me, ever since way back in middle school, high school, I was studying. I remember I used to go to school, or sometimes even leave school early and go to a part in Boston called Copley, Back Bay. The first library in the country, America's first library, was right there, called Back Bay Library, Copley Square Library. I used to go in there, man, I used to steal books. I always had a desire and a zeal for learning. I would steal books. Sometimes I would take books out, never return them, take pages out of books, rip them out. I would highlight stuff in the book, make Xerox copies. I always had an insatiable desire, always had a drive for knowledge. I think that is a good ethic to have as a person who is serious about learning about himself, his people, the world we live in, okay? And I basically just like to come before the people to give you my 2 cents, my opinion. No, I'm not the man with the plan. I am a man with some plans that maybe I could bring to the table along with yours, and we can discuss some things. That's how we bring unity in, not somebody with the idea, thus the Messiah, not somebody who says nothing's gonna work. I got rich off white folks.
Right.
All white folk ain't bad. You guys, you gotta be realistic, not the Uncle Tom. So the Black Messiah and the Uncle Tom are archetypes which permeate the characters as far as it pertains to the leaders, whether religious, okay, whether political in our community. And in this paradigm of the conscious shift in which we're living in, whereas people are seeking knowledge more than ever before, celebrities are waking up because of the climate in which we're living in. The cause is affecting a situation that is leading to more Black nationalism being on the rise. And let's look at Black nationalism. The whole concept of Black nationalism started to get on a rise and started to take shape, mold, and form due to the cause and effect situation and dynamic. Okay, we can't take that off the table. We have excuse me, just a minute. Let me just check something out right here. Okay, so we have this took place because of being under the foot of white supremacy, hard, turbulent, volatile time. Okay, for our people had to be pushed together and practice a sense of nationalism. Okay, this was the golden era of Black nationalism, was from like maybe the 1820s and extended all the way up into Garvey's period, because after the Fugitive Slave Act, okay, during that time, blacks with the book, okay, blacks, that's pertaining to the book, sir. All the blacks had to come, the blacks who were serious about freedom had to come together and establish certain kind of things that would be their protection, okay, that would be their compass in this wilderness of this hell in North America. That compass that they used was nationalism. Now here it is, a lot of them weren't even as knowledgeable as we profess to be now. I said a lot of them weren't even as knowledgeable. They weren't talking about metaphysics on this level. If they were, they didn't know dates, times, and they weren't multi-linguistics like many of us now. A lot of them didn't know nothing about Maya, didn't know nothing about Khufu, couldn't break down Metu Neter. A lot of these people didn't know the vocabulary or the vernacular, and we're able to articulate themselves the way we are, okay? But one thing that they did know, which is the meat and potatoes of what all this knowledge is supposed to be geared towards doing, without all the sensationalism of the Black Messiah, and this person is the baddest man in America, and he has the answer and the solution. Well, they knew that all we had was us, and we was enough of what it took to liberate us. They knew that God sparked in us. They knew that greatness in us. They knew the essence and the greatness of who and what we are upon principled unity would inevitably give us that would liberate us down the line. We were realistic about it. We didn't want a quick fix, instant liberation, just add water or libation. You know what I'm saying? You can't just put freedom in a microwave and it's done instantly. And that's what a lot of us want. So what's the answer? No, the question is, what are the answers? Because we have many problems, and these problems are in layers. These problems are a matrix of problems, and there's no one answer for a multiplicity of problems. We need solutions, and part of that solutions is having relevant, pertinent, and critical dialogues that address the problems. And those who are serious and have some kind of solutions would talk about bringing solutions to the table to offset the problems. Okay, every journey starts with a first step, and we all on a journey, as I said. So let our journey be navigated by stepping in the right directions. Let's start to navigate the right way. Maybe we've been on the wrong path. We know we have to move. We know we have a journey, but maybe we need to reconsider the directions in which we've been taken. Maybe we need to carve out new directions because enemies are already on the path that we carved out for ourselves. Now we have a lot of infiltrators and enemies on our path trying to take the path over and direct us astray. We did it before and we can do it again. We like to say we are the greatest, we are the first should be last, the last shall be first, and I don't disagree with that. So if we created that which made us great, okay, and made other humans great because that which we gave the world, then not only if we did it again, can we do it again, but we can do it even better than before. Because you have that potential, black woman, to manifest that. You have that potential and that greatness in your blood, black man, to manifest that again. I think that there are certain extra dead weight perspectives, ideas, dogmas, and even types of leadership that is a hindrance to us, to our growth, and even our perception of what real liberation is, or how it even should be looking like. Okay, so this is a lifelong goal and commitment that I have to it. And when I was young, I was in these schools of thought too. Okay, I started off, no secret, under the, you did a video called this, Sarnetta, called When I Was a Nuwabian by Brother Sankofa. I was never a Nuwabian.
That joint got over 100-something thousand views, the one we did.
Okay, but I was
Why I Left the Hebrew.
That was a different one. I was never a Nuwabian.
Right.
Okay, I was under it when it was called the Ansaru Allah community, the Aiders of Allah, also known as the Nubian Islamic Hebrews. He wasn't Dr. York then, he was Imam Isa, and I was a student then. I didn't master all the teachers then. I didn't speak fluent Arabic then and stuff like that. I did go into that young. I was passionate. Okay, I was vigilant. Anybody out there that know me, that remembers me, my name was Hakif back then. Hakif. They used to call me Hakif Abdullah Muhammad. Hakif Abdullah Muhammad. Okay, everybody's last name in the Ansar Allah community's last name was Abdullah Muhammad.
Brother Hakif, what up, man?
All right. So I was not, and that's the add clarity, because the video that you put out called When I Was a Nuwabian, and you got a lot of nutcases, because you know when you say the wrong thing, a lot of people are already religious nuts. They're very overzealous, and they kind of subsided and gave up any interest in reality. So when you say anything, they get very nutty on you. And I was like, no, he meant to say this. He wasn't a Nuwabian, I couldn't tell. When you read the comments, they're going crazy. And I said, well, I never said I wasn't. No, so I never put that up there. So just for clarity for the people, I did that. So just for clarity for the people, you know, I just want to clear that up. My experience was going in and believing in black power and black liberation, but there was always that black messiah thing that was there. You know what I'm saying? Dr. York never called himself, or Imam Isa, the black messiah, but he was teaching that. The doomsdayism. The end is coming at this time. The spaceship is coming to liberate us. None of that happened. None of that happened. Okay? It was only a breakup. His religion broke off into different groups and denomination. He reincorporated and reinvented himself, and he became something else. Same thing happened with the what it was called the Israeli school of UPK. There wasn't the Israelite school of UPK. They were called the Israeli. And if you know what the Israeli is, you'll be like, wow, Israeli? Really? But the
so
Israeli,
you're saying that's what they was before ISUPK?
No, ISUPK, Israeli school of UPK. Still
okay.
ISUPK, but it was called Israel. It was the Israeli school of UPK. Okay, and there was the teaching of the year 2000, the Messiah concept of the black Messiah coming to return. We were failed once again, even though a lot of the brothers meant well, a lot of strong, powerful, beautiful brothers in there that gave them crack as hell from the cradle to the grave, and I give them credit where it's due. But the Messiah concept didn't happen again. Ben Ami, the Messiah concept failed us. Father Divine, him coming with them failed many of people in his time, and many other people known and even unknown have come with the idea, with the religious dogma, to liberate our people when our problems are political, economic, okay, academic, like Dr. Joseph Carruthers said. He said we are under academic warfare, intellectual warfare. A lot of these concepts and ideas is part of the intellectual warfare dynamic on the subconscious mind of our people. And that's why we're still brainwashed. You said, how come our people can't give up these ideas? Not only have we been indoctrinated with this knowledge for so long, and then things become second nature, because when people learn something, it becomes second nature. Repetition is a mother of all learning. So when something's repetitive, it becomes part of your subconscious hard drive. So here it is, you're becoming conscious. Like I said, we still have residue of indoctrination for years. And then not only that, it's being reinforced by a charismatic, intellectual, electrifying leaders today who still kind of reinforce these dogmas, even if they don't paint the White House black, so to speak. Even if they don't paint Santa Claus black, so to speak. Even if they don't paint Jesus black, so to speak. It is still a reinforcement of many of the shackles. Okay, they're not breaking the shackles, they're just changing the locks on them. Okay, and it has a different gatekeeper around the brain, so to speak. around the chain on the brain, so to speak. So the whole purpose, and like I said, I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation where I'm gonna go into a lot more specific visual detail about what I'm talking to in this book, and a lot of other information that revolves around the topic of this book and is pertinent to the subject matter, and bring you some powerful, powerful information, people. And I plan on having this done in the next couple of weeks. That's right, the next couple of weeks. And I'm gonna do it right here in Sarnetta Studio, so y'all can get to see how Brother Sankofa's handle is with the PowerPoint, and see how I give it up. And when you see a lot of the information that I bring to the table, it's gonna be powerful, man. But these are discussions that we have to open up, because our people are products and victims of this. We like to talk about a lot of things in the community. A lot of times we talk about doctrine and dogma a lot, even though we need to start talking about other things like missing Black children, like child abuse in the community, like mental health in the community, like homelessness in the community. A lot of us are caught up on talking about religion and only politics, because it's the Messiah, Uncle Tom kind of things up in there. Politics, religion, you know what I'm saying? Miss Lita, there's so many different things in the backdrop that even if we found the true knowledge, what do we do and how does that knowledge, how is it utilized to address the issues that are impacting our community on a daily basis? Okay, those are things we have to consider too. So I'm going to be going into topic matters not only on just this, but on a lot of other things pertinent to the other topics that I met. A lot of people don't understand how many hundred thousands of Black children are missing a year, babies. Organ harvesting is real. You know what I'm saying? Sex slavery is real. A lot of sisters are disappearing off these streets, hundreds of them. So in our pursuit of knowledge and in our desire to be known and respected for the knowledge in which we share with the people, we also want to put the people first. And when I say putting the people first, the people's issue is what's first when I say that.
We're gonna have to do a part two.
And these are issues that we definitely have to address. But we also have to address the people in the way of our freedom, whether they be the Uncle Tom or the Black Messiah. So I'm going to come to a close, and in this conclusion, I just want you to get your intellectual palates ready for the presentation on this that I'm going to give, and it's going to be dynamite, like JJ used to say from Good Times. Boom! But yes, definitely. So stay tuned and keep tuning in to Sarnetta TV. This year, man, we've been setting it off right this year. Okay, I think that we're starting off with the right momentum, and we want to pick up and accelerate that momentum in the right direction. Okay, young brothers and sisters out there who are inspired by this platform, or who are already inspired before this platform, who you have a message or you got some knowledge or some pertinent topics you would like to see the brothers talk about, or the teachers, the sisters on the platform talk about, reach out to the brother Sarnetta. Get in touch with them and say, hey, I would like to see this topic addressed. I would like to get on here and address this topic. Hell, I disagree with Sankofa. Let me get on there and body Sankofa intellectually, because he don't know what he's talking about. Whatever it is y'all want to get on and talk about, the doors are always open for you here at the House of Consciousness, because we love the people, and we are the numero uno, #1 platform out there reaching out to the people and impacting them on the level that we're doing. And it's nothing new under the sun for us, because this is what we're bred to do. So keep staying tuned, people. Black love, Black power. Okay, we got a divine rendezvous with destiny. So let's accelerate the process and connecting with that destination. Peace and Black power. I gotta use the bathroom.
Peace and Black power, family. You know what it is. This your brother Sankofa, and another powerful joint.
I was on for how long? Like 2 hours?
Nah, you went on longer than 2 hours, brother.
Yeah.
What time you got in here?
I don't really know, like 12 something, 1:30, 1:40, like almost 2.
Yeah, he said he only went 2 hours. Family, let him know. Let him know. He went longer than 2 hours.
He been jogging. This one got longer.
Yeah, man. As you can see, the studio was set up. Sankofa was over there chilling. Hold on.
What's
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. Here you go. Yeah, check out the back of that. Check out that back once again. Yes, sir. Yeah. You already know, peace and Black power, baby. We do it for the people.
All right, man. So go ahead, go to the bathroom, brother.
Yes, sir.
Anybody? Yeah, ain't nobody in there.
Oh, not the door wide when nobody in there. Hey, what's up, G?
Okay, family. So there you have it, man. It's your brother Sarnetta. And that's it for the day, family. That's it for the day. I might be coming back later on this evening with somebody powerful. But for right now, I'm going to say peace and Black Power. Thank y'all for tuning in. We love you, family. Black Power.